Hi everyone, it's Shirley here at LilyPond Vintage. I am joining you this evening live from Elmsdale, Nova Scotia, so east coast of Canada. And we're going to talk about tonight about painting kitchen cabinets. Here is an example of kind of a mini kitchen cabinet. So I have some antique small cabinet doors that we're going to show you how to paint, distress, and also glaze. And then I'm going to show you how to use a product called Tough Coat to seal the cabinet doors in. So before we get started tonight, I want to give a few minutes so that people can start logging in. Also too, Jan is here with me for those who've been into the shop here in Elmsdale. Jan works with me full time and she's my camera person tonight. So Jan will, if there's any questions, if we have time, Jan will read some questions out. Be sure to, if you're signing in, I'd love to know where you're signing in from, so where you're coming from tonight. So just type a comment in the section below. So we're going to wait for a few people. And so to thank you for joining us tonight, we want to let you know that we will be offering at Country Chic Paint a 10% off coupon for online orders. So we were going to give you a coupon. And if you have a pen handy, it's pretty easy to remember. It's the name of my store. It's called LilyPond, LilyPond 10. So the coupon is LilyPond 10, and that will give you 10% off on your orders online with Country Chic Paint. So I'm just going to check with Jan. Do we have some people signing in? Jan, we got a few people logging in yet. Okay, so we're just going to wait a few more minutes while we wait for some people to join us. It was a beautiful day here in Elmsdale, and it's I know Country Chic Paint is on the west coast, we're on the east coast, so there's a 4-hour time difference. So also wanted to let you know that this evening, before the end of our presentation, we're going to be giving away one of these lovely Country Chic Paint aprons, and they're wonderful painting. They're nice and long. They kind of come down to your knees, so it's a really great apron to have if you do painting around the house. So again, I just want to say, if you're joining us, don't forget to put a comment. Don't forget to send us some hearts and some likes if you like what you're seeing this evening with our cabinet presentation. So I guess a lot of times when I get questions in the shop, many customers will ask about painting kitchen cabinets. So when Country Chic asked me about doing a live video, I thought, what project would I like to do? And that was about cabinets, because it's frequent questions here in the store. I have kitchen cabinets, and many times they are, the traditional honey oak, and people want to get away from that and they want painted cabinets. So tonight that's what we're going to talk about. So I think we probably have a few people starting to log in now. Wonderful. Okay, so if you're just joining us, don't forget share some hearts and likes. Don't forget to comment below so we know that you're joining us, and your name will go in to win one of the aprons. We're going to do this giveaway by the end of the evening. And also to thank you for joining us tonight. We will have a 10% off coupon. It's LilyPond 10, and that will give you 10% off of any orders at Country Chic Paint with us. So let's get started. I'm going to go over some of the products that we're going to use. So this is our finished product, which is a kitchen cabinet door. This one has been painted. I didn't distress this one quite as much, but I'm going to show you how to do that as well, if that's the look you're going for. It has a glaze and it has Tough Coat. So before we get to that point, we have to start. I have a couple of cabinet doors here, and I'm going to show you materials that we're going to use. So to start out with your cabinets, obviously some really helpful tips is that if you're doing full-size kitchen cabinet doors, is that you want to take all your doors off. And so trick that I've learned over the years with painting cabinets is that I like to remove all hardware. So not only the handles, but all the hinges as well. And so when I do that, the best rule of thumb, because when we did our kitchen cabinets at our cottage, we have 36 cabinet doors, and that's quite a bit for cabinet doors. So with each door, starting from the top left to right, I would go through and number, and I use a black Sharpie marker, and I number inside where the hinges would go, because that's a place where you don't paint. And so that way you don't paint over your numbers. So number all your cabinet doors. And also too, if you're using the same hinges, then I also use a Sharpie marker and I number all of my hinges as well. So that way I know that the same hinge will go back in the same spot. Because with cabinet doors, there are chiseled out for the hinges, not every spot is chiseled out the same. So even though your hinges look the same, the spots where they're going is not. And it's a huge frustration when you're trying to reassemble your kitchen and your doors won't fit in. So that's kind of a trick that I've learned, is to kind of prepare a little bit. So remove all your cabinet doors, remove all your hinges and hardware, and then you're ready to start prepping. So again, I know we probably have a few more people joining us. Just to remind you, we are drawing for an apron tonight. We're giving a free giveaway. So just type in the comment section. We'd love to know where you're logging in from, just to kind of see some different areas that people are joining us. And also to the 10% off coupon for a discount on any orders. We'll go over that towards the end. So materials, we have some cabinet doors. We're going to be using tonight Country Chic paint. And if you haven't used this paint, you really should try. I've been painting for well over probably 20 years. And, you know, certainly started with, my husband and I bought a Century house. We did a lot of the renovations ourselves. And with old houses, you tend to do a lot of painting. So from cabinets to trim work, we would go through. So this is a really great paint. The ability to adhere to most surfaces is fantastic. It's one of the reasons why I went with Country Chic paint versus other lines that I have painted with in the past. So we're going to be using the color called Nightfall, and this is the wonderful blue color here. So the clay-based paint settles quite a bit, so you want to shake very well. And also I use stir sticks to stir my paint. So that's our paint that we're using this evening. After painting, we're going to use a glaze. Now I have certain stages here with our cabinet doors tonight, and so that way you can see until we can proceed, because typically there's wait periods in between products. And then to seal everything off, a Tough Coat. And Tough Coat is a clear product that you apply. I do recommend this for like dining room tables, kitchen cabinets, and also bathroom cabinets. Really great products. So with these products, with Tough Coat, we're going to use a foam applicator's little paintbrush, and this is something you can get at any hardware store. Also too, this is my favorite brush that I use all the time. It is a 1.5 inch oval. It has very dense filaments. It's a synthetic brush. It gives a really nice smooth finish. So I really love that about these brushes from Country Chic. And also too, there's a 1.5 inch, but this one's great for edging, and we're going to use this one for the glaze tonight. So also with this, we have just some cloth and rags and a bucket of water that we're going to use to wash our cabinet doors. And I use vinegar. Vinegar is a great natural product to remove grease and grime. So I start with all my antique furniture here at the shop, washing everything down really, really well. And so vinegar is a really good product to use. Doesn't have any harsh smells. And then you just rinse clean. We also have a sanding block. And should you do need to sand, it's a 120 grit sanding block. So it's not very coarse, but it's coarse enough to do the job that we need, should we need to sand. But what I find with Country Chic is that many times I really don't have to sand, especially with the antique furniture that I'm using. So that is our materials. And if you're just joining us, please make sure to leave a comment so we can add you into our contest or giveaway at the end of the night, and let us know where you're coming from. Also too, because we're talking about painting kitchen cabinets, I would really love to know what color would you like to paint your cabinets. Typically people have cabinets, like I said, honey oak, and they want to get away from that. So what would be a color you would paint your kitchen cabinets? So comment that below so we can see what color you would like to do your cabinets. So if we go back to our first little cabinet door, so typically what you want to do is remove all your hardware, like I said, and then we start out by washing down all our cabinet doors. So in a bucket of water with, I cut in about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of vinegar, depending on the size of my bucket of water. And I'm just going to go through and really wash my piece thoroughly to make sure that I'm getting rid of any grime and oils. Typically, over the years with cabinets, and even when we think our kitchen cabinets doors are clean, there's a lot of oils behind from cooking, but also too, every time we touch furniture, we leave grease behind from our own oils in our skin. And so that builds up over the years. So we're just going to wash our piece clean, and then we would rinse it with clear water and let dry well. So make sure that it is nice and clean and no residue left behind. So once our piece is dry, once I go through and I wash all my cabinet doors, what I want to do is determine, do I have to sand? And typically, I've found that sanding is not necessary, but if you want to check to see, do I have to sand? A good way to do that, and this is what I do for all my furniture pieces here in the shop and at home, after washing and cleaning, I paint a little small test spot with my Country Chic paint. And then I allow it to dry overnight. What I do then is that test spot is I take my thumbnail and I scratch. If the paint does not slide away, and you would have saw the brown varnish underneath, if it doesn't slide away, then I don't have to sand. And that's one of the lovely things about this, is that even with these old cabinet doors, which just has an old like shellac finish to it, I don't have to sand. But if the paint did pull away and you saw the brown underneath, then what you do have to do is go through and sand. And if I were to sand this piece, I would use my 120 grit sanding block and just go with the grain of the wood is how I'd like to sand, and just lightly sand. So it's just a nice light sand all over and into your, and the reason why the sanding blocks are great is because you can't get them into your corners and edges well. So you do a nice light sand, just enough to give a little bit of grit to your piece, so that way the paint has something to adhere to. But because this particular cabinet door does not need sanding, we can skip that step. And I know most people who come into the store, the last thing they want to do is sand. It's messy, it's dirty, it's a big job. So if we don't have to sand, we don't need to. So with these doors, we don't have to sand. And now we're ready to paint. It's clean, hardware's been removed, and it's ready for paint. So don't forget, if you just joined us, don't worry if you thought maybe I might have missed a step or at the beginning here, but I will post at the end the video on our page, and it will be posted on Country Chic as well. So now I'm ready to paint our piece. So I'm going to take my Nightfall. It's a beautiful blue. I'm going to make sure that this one's been opened before. I'm going to shake it well, just give a little stir there because I've had it open. And I'm going to pour some of the paint into a separate container so I can make sure that I don't contaminate my paint by any particles or anything going back into the jar. One of the things too with all paint, and it's no difference with this, is that when you recap your jars, really important to wipe your edges, otherwise your lid may seal on. Another trick too that you can do is put a piece of like a plastic wrap, like saran wrap or a brand like that, a plastic wrap over and then put your lid on. It really saves, makes it easier to get the lids off. So I poured a little bit of paint in there, and I'm going to use my synthetic brush, and with this I'm going to now paint my door. So typically and I just have a small dish here, but I wouldn't dip my brush more than 1/4 to halfway full of paint. So I have a fair bit of paint loaded on my brush. And I always kind of offload first so that way I don't have any drips and runs. You want to put a nice generous amount on your door, starting in the corners and the edges and pulling it away. But it should never be so much that you have globs or runs or drips. That's not what we want when we paint. If you think that you need to put a second coat on, then you can do that as well. So we're going to go through and do in all our edges and corners, go through and paint our piece. And it's just at a 45-degree angle for your paintbrush. And you can brush back and forth a few times. Rule of thumbs, I don't usually swipe back and forth too many times because it will start to pull away. This paint dries really fast, within 15 to 20 minutes to touch. But I would recommend with kitchen cabinets to wait 24 hours. Let it sit overnight. The longer we let paint sit, the better adhesion it has. So if you have to put a second coat on, some people, you can paint with furniture. I'll do 2 hours in between coats. I think with kitchen cabinets, waiting 24 hours would be good, especially if you're not putting a second coat on. And then we go on to the glaze step. You definitely want to leave it sit overnight before you start glazing. So we're going to put one coat on. Now we're going to be distressing these, so I'm not so worried about it being perfect or being a totally solid paint job. So I'm just going to finish up here. Any questions? Anybody have any questions so far, Jan? Was there anything there that we...
No questions, no. But white or cream cabinets.
Oh, yeah. We get a lot of requests for the whites for cabinets. I think a lot of people like to brighten up their kitchen cabinets. So there's our piece painted. I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. And so, of course, now I have one that I've already painted. So that way we can move on to the next step. So with... once we paint it, and like I said, if I was happy with that coat and that coverage, and I'm not putting a second coat on this one, I'm going to distress it. And it's really easy with this product because it's a chalk style paint that we can just use clear water. And I use a damp cloth, not too wet, but wet enough. And I'm just going to go through and remove the paint as little or as much as I want to give this a distressed look. And typically when I'm distressing furniture, I'm going to distress where there's natural wear and tear. And on furniture and cabinets are no different, is a lot of times it's edges. And so if you want to go through and you just kind of start rubbing gently, not too hard. Now in this case, you know, distressing typically, like I'll use 2 different color paints. I might put a darker color and a light color over top. But in this case, I like the color of the wood underneath. So if you're happy with the color of the wood underneath, you don't need to use a second color. What you're going to do is bring through that natural wood. Now, if these were honey oak, like a much lighter, and I was painting my cabinets a white, I might want to choose a second darker color underneath if I was going to do this step, which is distressing. I love this because it gives a natural worn look. It can be soft and delicate, or it can be more whatever you like. And I find typically, I think everybody's a little bit different, but I really do like using just a nice gentle distressing. So it's mostly the edges is what I tend to do, but you could distress it more all over if you wanted to. So it's a pretty simple job to go through and distress your pieces. So I'm going to do all our edges. And it really, I don't know if you can get that there to see that a little bit better. Just kind of shows the edges. You see the brown coming through. It makes it very, very warm and inviting. Definitely more country in style. Can I see that there, Jan?
A little bit.
A little bit?
The distressing isn't very,
no, it's just a little bit.
Just light distressing.
Yeah, just light on the edges, so it doesn't really pick it up as much on the camera. And that's all you would do. So you can see I've rubbed a little bit more on the edges here. Get it going. And once your paint gets wet, it will actually gets a little bit easier for the distressing. And I don't know if that's a little bit there. You can see it a little bit better. So, and if that's the look you're going for, it's so easy to do. And I love that about this paint, that it's very easy to do just with a wet cloth. So I'm just going to put my cloth in there. I'm actually going to make sure my paintbrush is wet, not drying out. So now that my cabinet door has been painted, I've distressed it, and I now want to glaze it. And you can see the difference between this door and that door, that this is much darker. This actually has what's called a glaze. And glazes come in Country Chic, some pre-mixed colors. This one is graphite. It's kind of a gray-black color. There's also smoky quartz, and we have a couple of colors over here as well. But the one thing I do love is that there is clear, which means you can mix any color you want to into it. So if I wanted to make a purple glaze, I can make a purple glaze. But tonight we're using is the graphite. And graphite, like I said, is kind of a dark gray black. It does dry darker than what it looks like when you paint it on. And I'm going to stir this really well. You can shake this product as well, like the paint. It's quite thick, as you can see, and it's very easy to work with. Kitchen cabinets, because of the amount of, I'm going to say wear and tear and use that you get in your kitchen with, steam, cooking, greases and stuff like that, it is recommended to put a tough coat over top. And because of that, I couldn't use, some people will say, well, couldn't I put antique wax or dark wax on it? Waxes are always the last step. So if you want to use a product like Tough Coat, you couldn't use wax on here first. You would have the Tough Coat, then wax. So wax is not a product that we would recommend for cabinets. Glazes are much better. So to apply the glaze, very easy. We're just going to dip our brush, pick up some glaze, and we're going to start brushing into, I start with the corners and crevices, and I work with small areas with this product because it actually dries quite fast. Now this is not a big door, but it is big enough that I don't want to do too big of a section. So you can see how dark that is on there. And I do small sections at a time. I'm just going to take a clean cloth here. And I'm just going to wipe away the excess glaze that I don't want. So you get to control this part. So you can have it as dark as you want or as light. So I always say less is more, because where it does dry a little bit darker, I like to kind of keep it lighter. And then in the corners, I leave it a little bit darker. So that way when it dries in there, it really kind of brings up the corner. And if you take off too much, you can just paint a little bit more on. So you just kind of work in smaller sections, and that's basically all you do with the glaze. You just start going through and painting it on. So it's a very easy product to use. The product actually goes quite far. And as I get through this, I know there's probably some more people that have joined us. So please, leave a comment below where you're coming and viewing us from tonight. We are in just outside of Halifax. We're about 20 minutes outside of Halifax, which is in Nova Scotia on the east coast of Canada. And I'm sure there's some people that are joining us from maybe Western Canada or even the United States. So thank you for joining us tonight. I'm just finishing up this one piece here with glaze. And then we're going to move on to our final step, which would be Tough Coat. Now again, before you glaze, you want to make sure that your painted surface has been drying for at least 24 hours. And again, as little or as much glaze as you want on it, so you can kind of play with it. And every cabinet door, if you're doing a huge kitchen like I did at our cottage with 36 doors, they're not going to be all identical, but it gives a really beautiful look afterwards.
Let's see if we can get a close-up, Shirley, of that.
Sure.
Of the glazing.
So you can see how the glaze kind of settles into the cracks a little bit. I kind of think it's like adding age and patina back into, especially a piece of furniture. I really like the look of glaze, and I've done some big pieces of furniture. So it just gives some more character. Where I'm mostly painting antiques, I find that I don't want my pieces to look pristine. I do like some natural distressing on pieces, and I either like using the waxes, black wax, antiquing wax, or glazes, and again on all my cabinets and pieces. So that's the glaze. It's pretty simple to use, easy product, and again with all this product there's little to no odor, which is very important to me, and it's safe to use in our homes and around our children and our pets. So I hear people sometimes saying, they come in the shop and go, well, I'm thinking about painting, but I have to wait until the weather's warm enough and I can open all the doors and windows. But with this product, you don't need to do that. It is not oil-based. It is a natural product, very low VOCs to no VOCs, and little to no odor. So makes it very easy to use in your home at any time of the year. So that's glazing. Simple. We're done with that. And then the last step to after we glaze, now I would let that dry again at least 24 hours. Then what I would do is do Tough Coat. And so Tough Coat is a product that is durability, has extra durability. It's a clear product. It's easy to use. It's going to give a little bit of a sheen to it, but not a whole lot. So this is kind of the finished product here. And what I'm going to do on the back side of this one is just show you how to use the Tough Coat. So
before you do that, Charity had a question, Shirley. She said, sorry, I missed the first part, but did you clear coat first before the glaze?
Clear coat first before the glaze? No, the glaze goes right over the paint. So you don't have to clear coat. You just paint, let the paint dry. You usually let it dry at least 24 hours, and then you would add the glaze. Let the glaze dry for 24 hours. So you can tell this painting kitchen cabinets is not something you can knock off in a weekend project. It does take a few days to go through if you're doing a couple different steps. And I typically do, kind of an assembly line with all my cabinet doors. After my glaze is dried on all my cabinets, then I can go through and use this product called Tough Coat. And it is clear. There is a little bit of residue sediment on the bottom. This is a product you don't want to shake because it will create bubbles. We don't want bubbles in it. So you just gently stir it. Foam applicator is the best way to apply this product. Do not use filament brushes because you'll get lots of streaks. So we're going to just use a foam applicator, and I'm just going to dip it in halfway through. And I'm going to just start gently swiping this product on, and I tend to try to go in one direction and then redip. You don't want to overwork this product. It actually dries very quickly, and I just put on a nice thin coat, and then what I end up doing is doing 2 thin applications, and the results are beautiful. If you put it on too thick, what you're going to find is that it will pull away or get tacky. I always use the reference when we're doing our paint workshops, which we offer here at the store, is that it's kind of like brushing nail polish. And if anyone's ever done that, it pulls up and away, and then you have to start over. So just a nice thin application, and use a foam brush for this one. So it's a little bit of product. It actually goes a very long ways, and you don't want any bubbles, so you don't want to put a lot of pressure onto it. So you're just going to go through and put on one thin coat. So if you just joined us in the last few minutes, don't worry if you think you might have missed the beginning. We will post this, and Country Chic's going to post it on their site so you can view the whole tutorial. Kitchen cabinets is, it is a big job because it's quite a few usually cabinet doors to do, but it actually is very rewarding because a lot of times we have great cabinets, I'm going to say with great bones, but we just don't like the color anymore. So this is an easy way to get a new look and to brighten up your space, especially if you have all wood. Like at our cottage, it was all knotty pine. So it was a lot of kind of the old orange shellac. So now I painted all my cabinets. They're all white, like vanilla frosting, very warm white, and it is beautiful. And that's it. So with Tough Coat, if you think you missed any spots, don't go back, let it dry. When you put on your second coat, you'll get those spots. So it is very easy to use and simple like that. So that is our finished product. It is painted, a little bit distressed, and also to a Tough Coat for protection, which you should use on kitchen cabinets and also bathroom cabinets. So I think we're probably about time to announce. Oh yes, promotional wise, I mentioned at the beginning for those people who joined us that we are going to be doing the 10% off coupon. So if you place an order online with Country Chic Paint, you'll get 10% off if you use the coupon LilyPond10, and that's actually the name of my shop, LilyPond 10. It's LilyPond 10. That will give you 10% off your orders from Country Chic. Also, too, I wanted to mention that if you commented, you know, what color kitchen cabinets you wanted to paint, what color would you pick, we are going to be giving away the Country Chic apron tonight as well. So, do we have a winner for that?
We do. It's Rose Mosier.
Rose Mosier, congratulations. So Country Chic will mail and send out to you your apron. So congratulations. And I also want to let everybody know that these products are available at many retailers all through North America. So you can go to www.countrychicpaint.com and you can find a retailer close to you. Also, again, if you want to place an order online, you can shop online as well. And if you use the coupon number I gave you tonight, LilyPond10, you'll get 10% off. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope you found this informative. I will post it on my Facebook page, which is LilyPond Vintage, for anybody who's missed the beginning, and they can see it through. If you're in the area, drop in and see us. Jane and I are always here to help you with any questions that you have, and to help you with troubleshooting as well if you have a piece of furniture or kitchen cabinets that you want to start that project. So I thank you for joining us tonight, and hope you enjoyed the tutorial.
How was that?
Are we done?
We're done.
32 minutes.
Publish? Do you want to?
Yes, she said we're supposed to publish it.